So what's up people and welcome to the Mission 75 discussion of Spy Family. So Mission 75 came out today, and as always I will leave a link to this mission that's currently being shown on the publisher's official website, Manga Plus, for free to the North American audience. So if you're interested, I will go take a look at it before they pull this mission back. Okay, so Mission 75. So this was basically what we expected. This is the wrap-up mission for this entire arc. And the things that happened in here were the things that we kind of expected. This was the chapter that we expected where everything will get tidied up and all the things will get answered. But what was very interesting with regards to this mission was the most unique part of the mission was not the part where everything got tidied up, but the thing that got opened. And it wasn't the answer, but the question that was the most intriguing part of this mission, and I'll go over that later on. Now with regards to the closing of this arc, things went as we expected, and we see the mission start with Anya, Damien, Becky, and Bill Watkins receiving a stellar star. And I was like, oh, okay, this is quite interesting. So 4 students actually received a stellar star. I was wondering why Becky received one, but then I realized that it was Becky's container that actually sent out that message for help. And so it was to be expected that she would receive the stellar star. Now we know why Damien did, and of course we absolutely know why Anya did. And of course Bill was the one that calmed all the children down at the very beginning. So it does make sense. I was a little bit disappointed that Anya didn't receive 2 stellar stars, considering she was the one that actually basically turned everything around and resolved a lot of this stuff. But then I realized that no, the story should go the way kind of the world sees this rather than the way we see the story and who really contributed to the situation. The world basically saw it from the outside. And from that perspective, probably they wouldn't assume that Anya gets any more credit than anybody else. And so, this kind of made sense. Still, I would have liked to have seen Anya receive 2 stellar stars. But in any case, she did receive one. Because of that, all 4 students are, of course, in the spotlight. And I did like the comments that the students made after they received the star. And Damien's kind of wondering exactly why he received one, considering he didn't do much of anything, which actually is very interesting, considering that he put his life on the line to help Anya out. And the fact that he feels like he didn't do anything seems to indicate that he is quite the humble character under the situation. What was funny is Emil and Ewan, of course, absolutely said that he should receive a stellar star, considering the fact that he was the one who boldly went up to the terrorists and said he had to take a crap. And of course, Damien didn't take their compliment too well. But in any case, that is of course the ending, and this chapter is showing what happened in the end. In the beginning. And so then, of course, it goes back to the very end part of the situation. The people from the Red Circus were arrested and all the children were being rescued. We see one of the secret police soldiers take off the bomb that was on Damien's neck. And overall, everything seems to be going quite well. We do see some very interesting situations, such as the reunion between Becky and her dad. And it happened the way we all expected it would. And so things were starting to settle down quite well. And as the various parents came to pick up their children, the 2 that were left at the end were Anya and Damien. And so both of them were wondering if their parents were really gonna come along. And though Anya didn't mind all that much, Damien was a little bit disappointed that nobody came to pick him up. But it did give those 2 time to talk. And it was really nice to see Damien actually compliment Anya for her actions to help save the situation. And in response, Anya complimented Damien as well. And so this turned out to be a very nice quality time between Anya and Damien. And we could see that Damien's respect for Anya was starting to increase. And since he always had slight feelings for Anya, when she complimented him, yeah, he went into a slightly defensive mode and started kind of shrugging off everything and mentioning that, well, that's what friends do for each other, you know? And that's when Anya gets really happy because of the fact that it is the first time Damien calls her a friend. But she gets so happy that she kind of goes off into her world peace dreamlike situation, and she starts immediately demanding Damien that he invite her to his house, which makes Damien go, "What the heck are you talking about, girl?" And Anya starts talking about, well, I need to come over and we need to discuss world peace, which of course puts a lot of question marks on Damien. But he does start getting upset because he understands many children have in the past feigned friendship and wanted to become friends with Damien only so that their families can become closer to each other and they could become closer to the great Donovan Desmond. So Damien becomes quite angry and tells Anya she's no different from all these other kids. But what was interesting was the final point that he made, which was, even if you did become friends with me, it wouldn't matter because my father doesn't particularly care for me all that much. And it's at that point that we find Yor coming up to see Anya. It turns out that she actually ran all the way from home to pick up Anya, and she was very happy that everything was okay. And it's at this point that we see a very wholesome moment, because up till this point, Anya was her goofy self and she was doing various wholesome situations as the bright, happy Anya that she was. But the moment she saw Yor, finally her tears and her feelings came out. And it was really nice to see those two come together. You know, this family is coming together as a family. And even Lloyd, although he doesn't come out into the scene, he was there just in case he needed to do something. But of course, since everything got resolved, he didn't need to step into the situation. And because of that, being the cool-headed spy that he is, he left Yor and Anya alone. Of course, Anya knows that Lloyd is there because she reads his mind. And she finds out that Lloyd will be making a very special dinner for them when they get home, which makes Anya very happy. Yeah, I guess Anya is a pretty easygoing girl. But what's interesting is what Yor tells Damien, which is that Melinda was also on her way there. It turns out that usually when you're running towards a situation, it's the car that passes you by. But in this case, it was Yor that passed the car. And it was Melinda's car that was rushing towards this situation. And of course, a few seconds later, Melinda comes out. And this is when we see a very interesting moment, a very wholesome moment, because Damien doesn't really know how his parents feel about him. That was always his pet peeve, and that was always his self-consciousness. But the fact that Melinda came, and the fact that Melinda seriously worried about Damien and hugged him in relief made Damien actually shed a tear. And so all is well, right? Everything is going well. So where is this question? Well, it turns out that, of course, Damien being very self-conscious about his father and the fact that he just shed a tear, he asks his mom not to tell his father that he cried. And oh my gosh, that triggers something in Melinda. And all of a sudden, this very loving, very caring mother becomes this. Yeah, we've seen some very interesting characters in this series. But Melinda feels like she is probably the most unstable person we have seen so far. And the way this chapter ends, that instability feels extremely frightening. Now, the one thing I will say is that split personality for Melinda is very interesting. First of all, most split personalities tend to go from one persona and then to another and shift from one to the next. You don't see both personas coming out at the same time. But in this case with Melinda, there seems to be this conflict that's going on within her psyche. And it almost feels like her natural maternal self really cares about Damien, but something seriously dark happened in the past that made her get something of the form of PTSD to such an extent that she seriously has a grudge against Damien's actual existence. And so it will be interesting to see how it goes on. What will happen? We're seeing this very interesting character introduction for Damien's mom. And we of course saw Damien's dad a while back, so we're starting to see this revelation of the Desmond family. Are they going to become prominent in the chapters coming up? And if so, how will this influence Lloyd's objective with regards to Operation Strix? And so it will be interesting to see what happens in the future. But anyway, we'll have to wait until it comes out. And when Mission 76 comes out, I'll bring out another video. I hope you join me at that time. But this is the Mission 75 discussion of Spy Family. If you read it, what you think about this very interesting ending for this chapter? Any comments that you can leave will be greatly appreciated. And until the next episode, happy manga reading. And as always, Jaya, nice day everyone.